Again, thank you so much for your time. How are you feeling this morning?
I am feeling good. Yeah, I mean it's a Monday technically because we had that long weekend, so everybody's back in my phone asking me questions, and I don't have the answers.
Are weekends sacred to you?
Yes,
Mm.
yeah, they're very sacred, especially Sundays. Not particularly for religious reasons, but I did grow up Catholic and Lutheran, and just got into the habit of Sundays being like a very serious rest day, a day where you just don't do any work or
Mhm.
think about the future. Just try to be very present. So that's my practice to this day. Sundays are very like I don't schedule things. I don't leave my house. I don't pick up my phone. I use that day to full reset and reflect.
Mhm. When did you find out that you could sing?
Um, I found out in middle school. I had just moved from Koreatown to in Los Angeles, grew up in Los Angeles, moved from Koreatown to the Valley, and it was quite a culture shock. Los Angeles is very segregated to this day, and so I went from an area that was predominantly Asian and mostly Korean, Filipino, and Chinese, and to an area that was like predominantly white and
Mm.
Jewish. And I was just started at this new school, and all these kids like basically had never seen a black person before, like probably never, a lot of them, and there was a lot of curiosity that was from their probably their parents' stereotypes about black people that were then projected onto me, which was funny because I I was a Nigerian American
Mhm.
mixed race raised in a family that was very like worldly and cosmopolitan and had so many different influences from all over the world, and um, them projecting onto me the like a black American stereotype was funny because it completely like flew over my head in a lot of ways because
Mhm.
it like I didn't have that context. Like the word diaspora just was not in their vocabulary. So it
I can only
was like,
imagine.
yeah. So they're like, oh, you must love like listening to Tupac and eating fried chicken and shaking ass, and I'm like, I'm actually a vegetarian, and my dad makes me listen to classical music, and like, not allowed to listen to rap, and there was a lot of things that didn't meet their expectations. But one thing that they constantly were teasing me about is they would call me jukebox and like ask me to sing, super racist. Um, and they'd be like, "Jukebox, sing us a song, sing us a song." But for some, and I never would, but for some reason, like enough times that happened, I went home and I'm like, I wonder if I can sing, because my parents like they don't sing, they're not musicians, but I felt like something rang true in that request
Mm.
from the universe, and I learned an Amy Winehouse song, Valerie, and I decided to perform it at the school talent show. And you don't have any perception of yourself really at that age. I was like 13 or 14, and you're beginning to build your perception of self. And I learned this song, and I went up on that stage and I performed this karaoke track. And everybody in that little amphitheater was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Wait, she can sing. And from there, I had some really wonderful teachers at the school that kind of took me under their wing. Um,
Were you
and
surprised?
I was surprised that because my voice had always been unique, it's like I was just singing that song from the perspective of like exploration and claiming my own space. in a social dynamic that was very uh, acidic. My response to being bullied, and my response to racism in that space was I'm like, okay, well, if I'm so different, then I'm just going to be different. And
Hmm.
I just was like, let me just get up on this stage and sing a song. Like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, lean
I don't
into
care what
it.
you think. Yeah, lean into it.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to accept me, then fine. I guess I'm just going to be who I am. It was more of like a statement in that direction than it was like I wanted to be a singer. And when I opened my mouth to sing in that way and it was received in that way, I think I was like, oh, I might actually have a gift. But what I loved about the singing was not the technical aspect, or even the sound, but the way that it made me feel to express like that. It felt like for the first time I was aligned with my voice and with my power
Hmm.
as a person, and like I had was finally being listened to, because it felt like in regular life and also in day to day through my speaking voice, people just didn't listen or couldn't hear me or chose not to listen. So this was a place where like I had communication control,
Hmm.
and that's what I gravitated towards was singing.
Such a weird way from the universe or God or whatever you want to call it to push you towards your your thing, right? Like
Yeah.
having to endure racism basically to find out that you have a beautiful voice. That actually
Yeah.
makes me think of the following thing. I know that a couple years ago you stopped modeling
Mhm.
to fully give yourself to music, and I was wondering, is that a choice that you made, or was that a choice that was made for you?
It was a choice that I made because modeling is the type of hamster wheel that, you can choose to get off of or you can keep running on it. And it's a funny one. It's like you'll go years working consistently and then suddenly like work just stops, and it's just your last job. And I kind of had reached a lull in my modeling career where I've been wanting to quit for a long time, but because like I kept getting booked for stuff and because the money was good, I was like, well, I'm not going to block my blessings. Like this is helping me sustain being an artist. So,
Of course.
um, okay, I'll keep doing this. And then there was this lull where I think it had gone like 6 or 8 months without booking a job. And I was getting to the end of my savings and not sure how I was going to pay rent, and just like decided that no amount of money that someone could offer me the next day would be enough for me to like want to do that job anymore. And I came to that conclusion from a place of like not having any money. So it wasn't even like I made that decision from a cushiony place.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just got into a place in myself where, putting aside my identity and my personhood became too much of a cost, for the maintenance of that career. And music was calling me, and I had used modeling as a shelter, while I figured out myself, who I was, what I wanted to say for long enough. And it was time to step into my purpose.
Yeah. How did you quitting modeling influence the album creatively, do you think? Or did it influence it?
It definitely did. It allowed me to step into the identity of being an artist. I've always had a complex about it because both my parents are such amazing artists, and they raised me with a very like unrelenting definition of artistry. Like to be an artist is a very serious thing, and like you're taking on a task in this world. It's not just like, oh, willy nilly, I like dabble in art. My parents were not the type to entertain that behavior. if I brought home something that wasn't artistically sound, I would hear about it.
Mm.
There would be like a critique. There would be there would be a conversation.
Right.
So I was reluctant to call myself an artist for so long. And especially with music, a lot of imposter syndrome because I wasn't classically trained. I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of lessons growing up. I don't read music. I don't have like a traditional training. And so that whole time while I was modeling, it was like me trying to find the courage to accept that I am what I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that I don't need to be like know every single thing about music to be able to call myself a musician. Um, and that shift from like somebody who's like just basically in limbo for so long to okay, I'm actively an artist processing the world. It was like I turned on a number of switches in my brain in terms of catalyzing what I was experiencing and witnessing into song. And modeling especially helped me um, with a specific type of empathy because it's almost like in that job you can just sit in the back of your brain and watch and
Yeah.
observe so much because nobody's really expecting much of you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like you're there to put on the clothes and to play a persona, and the persona is not very complicated. So you can sit in the back of your brain and observe so much
Mm-hmm.
about people and just watch like you're in like some sort of aquarium, a human aquarium. And I was processing all of those things for years, and it's like when I quit the job, all of that information turned into music. Like I think it comes through in like Be Kind or in Villain or because Villain especially like I think that one is a product of that industry in a way because the modeling industry can be very catty
Mm-hmm.
and very like people just kind of stuck in a high school mentality and they want to gossip and they want to like have their little feuds because that's how people bond with each other in that industry.
Mm-hmm.
um, with Villain, like that song is very much about narrative and the narrative that you tell yourself about who was in the right, who was in the wrong, and then growing up and realizing that there is no right or wrong. There's I tried my best and you tried your best and we both failed at loving each other correctly and hopefully we can do better next time.
You've described songwriting as opening the window and then preserving whatever comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what does that look like in practice? Because it sounds amazing. But at the same time, it also sounds very, to me, like someone who loves to be in control. It sounds like a nightmare. Because it's, yeah, like you're not in control. I would describe it maybe as waiting, but maybe you can explain it in a better way.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm waiting. I'm living. Um, I'm living my life. I think that there's this stereotype or fantasy of like songwriters and musicians going into a studio and like sitting down with a piece of paper and writing an amazing song. I guess that happens maybe like 10 to 20% of the time for very specific people, but most people who are amazing songwriters are living their lives and the songs come to them in the living, because our job is to translate the human experience. And if you're not within the human experience, then how are you supposed to interpret it or write about it? So what do I mean by open a window and try and preserve what comes in? That is a specific type of discipline because it's almost like being on call at all 24/7 your whole life. It's like when that thing comes through the window, you have to sit down and capture it, you know, sit down with your guitar and like I don't get up until I've like kind of figured out the song to an extent where I'm going to remember it enough to keep carving away at it and then you revisit it multiple times over weeks and years sometimes. Like I just resurrected a song from that I wrote like 5 years ago. And it sometimes looks like that. It's like that song came to me through the open window 5 years ago. I caught it. I sat with it. I put it to memory. It's still a song that I haven't written down anywhere. I haven't written the chords down. I haven't, but it's somewhere in my brain, and I, completely forgot it for many years because it wasn't what I needed right now. And I guess now is the time that I needed it. And because I tended to it back then without knowing like its destination, it's within my body so deeply that I could recall it, its words and its progression, when the message is needed. And now I get to tend to it in a different way. Like, okay, how does this message that came to me then apply to now, and what maybe needs to change, for it to feel true, or maybe it's always been true and now it's just this is the right time and
Right.
place. So there is an aspect of waiting, and there isn't a lot of control, but control is always an illusion.
True.
Um,
100%. Yeah,
so
that's true.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yes.
the sooner you accept that,
Yeah, that's true.
the sooner you can just like be in flow. And the practice is mostly keeping capitalism at bay. And what I mean by that is like the expectation of constant productivity, the expectation of constant like virtuosity and output. Um, Not every artist works like that. Some artists will write a million songs a day, and others will, like D'Angelo, will put out an amazing record every 10 years, and that is fine.
Yeah.
Like, different strokes.
But how does one find peace in that? Because it's, especially today, it's actively fighting against like it's great. Like I feel like it takes a lot of effort, power, and energy to
Hmm.
choose, not only choose that path, but really lean into it and sit into it.
Yeah, it does. It's a constant like, well, I think it's also suited to my personality. I'm quite a stubborn person, so it's like if I don't want to move, I'm not gonna move. Like you're gonna have to come over here and move me. Like,
Yeah.
there's not me doing a lot of things if I don't want to do them, or if I don't see the reasoning or the logic in doing them. So by that, I think I have a natural defense against these things, but um, I'm meeting it now, and this was a question that came up to me when I had found a label for Tether, and I had started that process. I remember talking to a friend and being like, if this goes really well, like I don't really know how I'm going to negotiate my process with the demands of this industry, because things go well and then suddenly someone wants a deluxe version, and they want a super deluxe version, and then they want the second album, and then they want singles in between
But
the album,
wait a
and
minute.
then
Sorry. I want to go back to that one because that is how I'm going to negotiate my process. Most people would say
mhm,
how I'm going to negotiate money, but process is very, I mean, freedom is everything. I know that, but I think that most people equal freedom to money because that's what you need in order to buy yourself time. So I get
mhm,
that.
mhm.
Have you negotiated your process?
I'm having to now, because everything is finding its new balance, especially as like I have there's more demands on my time, and people want me to, mostly with live and playing live, it's like I have to physically show up
Of
places.
course.
So I've been traveling like an insane amount the last year, and it looks like I'm going to keep traveling an insane amount at least deep into next year. And as someone whose process is really relegated to stillness and like sitting and waiting, that is like in the antithesis to
Mm-hmm.
sitting and waiting is to be moving constantly. So I've experienced a bit of a drought of songs. But and then now people are like, okay, well, where's LP2? And it's like, well, you guys can't have your cake and eat it too. Like either you need to accept that I'm not going to be touring, and then that means I'm also not making any money, or which I need to live, or I sit in stillness and hermetic solitude, and go back to the very very bare minimum, and wait there for
Yes.
that music to come. It's either or at least it has been. So now I guess the question is like, is there a middle ground? And I'm trying to find it, but I'm not sure what the point of finding it is. And money, money's one of those things. It's like for me, I don't worship money, and I actually really resent money, which is a problem because you need it.
Hmm.
It's a vehicle through which you're able to have space and time and peace in a way. Um, and so I'm not thinking. There's a quote from Miles Davis, like the minute that money enters the room, God leaves, in relation to music. And I very much feel that. It's like if I'm ever in a mind space of like, oh, I've got to write a song that's going to sync really well in a movie, or I've got to write a song that's got a really catchy hook that is only 15 seconds long so it can blow up on TikTok, which I've never done. Um, but to put myself in that mind state immediately, it's like I'm immediately flaccid. Like
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't write from that perspective
Yeah.
because it's not coming from it. It doesn't have any perspective. The only perspective is capitalism and like serving this machine. And it's like, well, what does the machine want? The machine wants everybody to be constantly distracted and to not be in their body and their self, asking the questions that I think my work raises. And as I'm entering a career, like a music career, there's a lot of things about the music industry that are completely unsustainable, and the standard of what is expected of artists is built on so many racist structures that it's like I I am I'm realizing that my process, which is inherently human,
Hmm.
what it's coming up against is an inhumane
Thing.
industry thing.
Yeah.
And so it's my humanness against the machine. And that is a much more interesting question than how do I make money from this medium? Because I think I would be fine not making money from this medium if it meant that my humanness was respected and restored. And what I mean by that is like I show up and there's a warm, safe place for me to stay. There's food that I can eat. There's people who will take care of me. None of that is money necessarily, but it is wealth and it is
Hmm.
human. So it's like I'm deconstructing like these things. It's like people think the goals that people have for the music industry from the top are like, oh, you just need to make enough money to then have those luxuries.
Yeah.
And I'm like, actually, I don't, what? No.
Yes.
Like the more money you make, the more isolated you become, because it's like I can make millions of dollars and I'm staying in a five-star hotel in Italy somewhere and I have a private chef, but like none of that feeds my heart. I would much rather be in like my new friend's grandma's house and she's making me fresh Italian pasta that she's had in the family for six generations, and like, you know, I sleep on a twin bed and my friend sleeps on the floor because they're just that hospitable and I have a show the next day.
Yes.
That is that is not only a type of wealth, but that is a an exchange within the storytelling of a life that creates a tapestry and a palette of depth and richness from which you can then extract your material as an artist.
Yes.
So it's like to succeed in this in this industry and the way that success has been marketed, it's like you wonder why artists lose touch with themselves, and then their work gets worse and worse and worse. It's because as they become more aligned with capitalism, they become less aligned with their humanity. And I'm trying to avoid that. So it's like, how do I negotiate my process
Yeah.
and yeah, my freedom in that sense.
It comes down to how the art of music has been devalued partially through streaming, I think, because
Fully
listening,
through
yeah,
streaming.
because
Yeah.
streaming has made listening to music very passive. Like I
Mm-hmm.
even notice myself sometimes, you listen to a playlist and don't ask me what the title of the song is or the name of the artist, but I can sing the song along.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's a sign of very passive, and also the idea of like it loses its worth because of that. How do you protect the value of your art as the artist?
Um, I think within the way that it's made also, and like the type of voice that I have, there's already this quality of like it's not very passive listening music. My voice is very hard to listen to passively because it is so stirring. And it's an experience that I have as well. I can't listen to my own music passively. It's like when I have to do mix rounds or stuff that I like have deadlines for, it's like the worst because it's like I'm having to put myself through emotional turmoil
Again and
on
again.
repeat. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like trying to like get these mixes in the right place, and people are like, "Hey, we need to listen to the mix." It's like, no, I'm not. I don't want to feel sad. Like I
I was
just
having a
want to
good
be.
day.
I just want to be a girl. Like, please. So it's like I can't imagine how that is for a complete stranger to be engaging with. So there's already that built into like what I've been given in this life. I think my gift is stilling people in time and forcing them in a way to sit with themselves. And that already being the place from which I am coming from, I'm just trying to make music that continues to serve that mission. And I don't think that it'll ever be like a difficult thing for me to maintain that because it's my truth. There's nothing else that I can really do besides that. So I mean, it's not that eloquent of an answer to your
No.
question, but it's like I don't really have the luxury of another choice.
It it
Yeah.
it reminds me of Nina Simone's quote, right? Like um artists have the responsibility to reflect their times. And this way, the way that you're making music, making it in a way that you're not able to listen to it passively and that you're forced to value your art in the best way possible, you're reflecting today's music industry and what it's doing to music.
Hmm. Yeah. I think I'm just showing. I'm putting a mirror to the industry itself, which as a little fish in a big, vast industry, I don't I measure my expectations on like how much change I can do, and I think that I've had to look at my music from perspective of long time and not like short time because I have to be okay with getting my flowers long after I've moved on from this life to be able to maintain what
That
I am
far?
doing. Yeah, I mean, it's like hopefully you hope for the best case scenario, which is while I'm here and
Hmm.
I get the stability that I deserve as an artist. But I knew going into this project, into this process, like at that juncture when I quit modeling, like there was a big existential crisis that happened there because I was like I realized that I didn't have it in me to be like a pop star. Like
Hmm.
I had learned enough about the music industry to see what the landscape was and to like the type of success that I was sold at 17 when I got into this industry and when I was signed for the first time was that. But nobody explained to me what that meant or what that took or what that required of you and how much of yourself you would have to erase and delete to be able to get there. And so it was this long process of me like walking around the elephant in the room and looking at the elephant from every angle and trying to figure out if there was some way that I could like do this without losing myself. And I came to the conclusion that it's no. There's no way that I can become Beyonce or become Ariana Grande or become Rihanna without completely losing the thing that makes my music special. So, if that's the case, and the music industry only works at that scale in terms of making a living that you can actually like sustain a lifestyle and support your family and friends on, then okay, I guess I'm just in this for charity or for like for the
For
mission of
yeah,
it.
for the
And
sake for
I
art.
for the art and if that's the case, like then to be able to do this with dignity and respect for myself, I'm going to look at this as legacy building instead of instant gratification. So I do look at it in this long form of time, which then allows me to value each piece of work that I present to the world as a little, you know, gem that I made through a lot of consideration and
Yeah.
attention and pressure. And however long it takes me to make the next thing is my business, because momentum is a dangerous thing in this industry. If you give into it, it's like you see it with so many artists. You saw it with like Doja Cat, for instance. It's like Doja Cat got all this virality and all this momentum, and she ran with it, you know. And then within 2 years, everybody's somehow sick of Doja Cat, and it's like, what do you mean sick of her? Like
Yes.
you asked for this.
Yes.
You asked her
I
to
just
have this output,
yeah, I
and now
agree.
you're blaming her
Yeah. I
for.
I I you know who I had this with recently?
Mm-hmm,
Doji. I was
mm-hmm.
sick
Yeah,
to my stomach when I saw
yeah.
how fast it went, not because I don't think she deserves it. I think she deserves every single, but I told my friends, I was like, you can, in Dutch, we say you can put the clock on it. I'm not sure if you can say it. You can put the
Mm-hmm,
clock on it. I said, give it 3 months before the
mm-hmm,
hatred starts because
mm-hmm.
it's just this, they build you up to then tear you down.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, if I was an artist today, I don't think I would want to be popular.
Yeah, it's not my goal. It's not my goal to be famous and it's not my goal to be viral.
No.
And you know, labels don't like to hear that and publishers don't like to hear like people don't like to hear that in the industry because they equate virality with the dollar signs, but at the cost of like the art. It's at the cost of the art every time. Yeah, and it's just it's such a double entendre, especially for women. It's like, yeah, you get to a place of fame, and it's like you get used up and discarded, and then you're expected to like match your peak at every point after that point, and that's literally impossible because you climbed so fast and so far that to do that again doesn't make it. It's not doesn't happen twice.
This way of like choosing this path is it's like eating greens versus fast food, right?
I
You
love
know,
greens.
yeah, me too. But sometimes it's like it's healthy for you, but sometimes you're like, ugh, I'm sick of this. I know it's good for me, but I'm sick of this.
Hmm.
When was the last time that you thought, you know what, I'm just gonna give up? Like I know that this is my path, but this is annoying, and I deserve more in one way or another. You know?
Yeah, I mean, shit. I guess I'm kind of like kind of always on the precipice of that. I've quit so many times.
Ugh,
Um, and other people, other things have brought me back,
how
like
annoying is
kicking
that
and
though?
screaming.
How
Yeah.
annoying is that though? But isn't there also something inside of you which makes it even more annoying? Something inside of you knows that you can't quit.
Yeah,
And no,
yeah.
and that feeling sometimes makes it even more annoying because you're almost like angry at yourself. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I have to, but I don't want to, you know?
hmm Yeah, it's that's the point at which you give it up to faith. It's like I have faith in this journey, and like I was given what this gift to do something with it. And if I'm still feeling this call and this pull, then I guess I haven't done it yet. So I'm gonna keep going until I feel that peace within or that sense of resolve within, and then maybe that'll be my last day being a musician or doing this whole game. Um, it's like you're playing the game. Sometimes it feels like I'm playing within the system to hopefully dismantle it um, with softness,
Mm-hmm.
like an erosion. Like maybe I'm just a slowly corrosive force to the machine that I've been placed within. Um, and it's okay for those things to take time when you think about it like that. Because if you think about water, it's like water breaks down everything eventually,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes its sweet time. Um, it's gonna consume it all at some point. Um, so it's like I step between being super willful in my work, in my process, and being very, very passive, and going fully with the flow. And I'm in between those two states at any given time. At this moment, I'm kind of in a passive, like, it took me so much will to get this album out and get this done, like an insane amount of will. The number of like times I was told no, the number of times that there was roadblocks, times that I didn't have enough budget, times that I had falling outs with friends and musicians, and I had to rearrange it. Just the number of things that happened that was just like, dude, like, do you want me to do this? Like, like
Mm-hmm.
what's going
Mm-hmm.
on? To finally get to this place where it's released and it's had all this lovely, lovely reception, and I'm doing tours, and now people want more of it from me. It's like, okay, cool. It took me all that will to get there. I drove this car all the way here, gassed it the entire way. It's like, all right, for me to cruise for a bit, like just hands off the wheel and see where we go, because I was so tunnel vision for so long that now that the task has been completed, I don't exactly know what the next task is. And so I'm looking within myself, and mostly within myself while I'm floating, to find that next direction. Now that I've introduced myself to the world, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to be an observer in your life sometimes.
Yeah. I know that making music for you is also a way of healing for yourself.
hmm
What
Yeah.
song on the album was the most healing for you?
At the time, it was waiting, um,
Funny, that's
because
exactly what we've been talking about all this time.
yes, it is. Yeah, my relationship with waiting I mean, it's a love song about that relationship with waiting, and patience. And specifically for me, that song is like about abandoning yourself, how you abandon yourself in youth, and like fall into other people's rhythms or desires for you, um, within love, within friendship, within social pressure. You abandon yourself so many times, but you have to abandon yourself to realize that you have a self. And you're like, wait, I need to go back there. And it's about my higher self the future version of me, like being patient with that past version of me and be like, I'll just wait for you to come back home. But there's a pain
Mm-hmm.
in that distance. It's like, oh, this hurts. Like, I really wish you would just grow up.
Yeah.
um, but you know, you can't grow up until you learn the lessons yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like when I was singing that song that day in the studio, like I put so much of my heart on the table, pumping and raw. And I feel like when you reach that kind of place in a record, um, and then you get to listen back to it over and over again, I'm so glad that I make records, because it's like how many people get to have a diary entry in 4D like that. It's like that was such a specific point in my healing,
Mm-hmm.
that now is there forever.
Yeah. On Satisfy Me, you describe yourself as a dreamer. The song is a cry for difference. What does utopia look like for you?
Utopia looks like a place where we are in the abundance and the opulence of nature, and we care for each other as nature cares for itself and for all creatures within it, and we exist in the cycle of life and death with a sense of peace, and understanding of its completeness as a whole. Utopia is a place where humans get to explore the full breadth of their minds and imagination without destroying the beauty that already exists. And it's a place where all forms of life get to harmonize.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. Utopia is not far away. You know, we exist within utopias every single day for present moments. It's only when we zoom out to the structures that are barreling us into unsustainable futures that the utopia dissolves. But the way I like to think about utopia, instead of this like lofty goal that we're all trying to attain, and we need like a leader to get us there, more so as all of us cultivating a personal sense of utopia
Mm-hmm.
that we then are really stern about. Like Satisfy Me especially is like having having the clarity of mind to be like, that is not enough for me. I deserve better than that. I deserve healthcare. I deserve fresh water. I deserve fresh air. What am I going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? It's so easy to become like numb and busy and complacent, and I'm guilty of it as well. It's like I am trying to pursue a dream. I'm trying to keep the lights on, and you know, trying to find the most efficient ways to cultivate change. And I guess for me, it's, you know, talking to people like you. It's writing these songs. It's trying to like be efficient with it instead of, you know, every day, you know, going to a protest. It's
Mm-hmm.
like that's somebody else's mission, and we all need each other in this big like organism of change. But it comes from that mycological concept of like each individual within the network has the same goal,
Mm-hmm.
and so then it it the way that it can spread with everybody having the same goal that they're individually taking on, it is a lot more efficient than a top down structure.
I agree. With this album, you stepped into a place in your artistry where you finally feel like the music that you're making really represents the person that you are fully today. Which song represents that the best?
Probably Be Kind. Yeah, it still feels like the thesis of where I landed on that album,
Mm-hmm.
and the mantra that I that I return to, because it's not only to be kind to others, but also to be kind to myself, um, to be soft with myself, and to treat myself like I would treat a stranger. You know, I wouldn't treat a stranger with fear or with anger in my heart. So why would I treat myself like that? So yeah.